Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack, today is November 21st, and today's episode is going to be talking about on-chain voting. We got an official announcement. We're also going to be talking about patches, asking for some feedback on Reward Tree version 10. After that, we're going to be talking about rETH price, rETH discount, RPL price, and some news about Gary Gensler. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So we're going to start here with this post from Langers, and he says, hey everyone, following the successful launch of the Houston hotfix and the return of the team from DevCon, we're thrilled to announce that the PDAO governance has been enabled. The PDAO have the helm. The team will continue to maintain the PDAO Guardian temporarily until the proposal system is fully tested in action and the Security Council is established. Once that happens, we'll disable it. So currently initialized vote power is 66,300, which is 73% of the total vote power. Now, at 30% quorum, that's 20,000 vote power for quorum, which is workable, but it may be a little bit high. Says we'll discuss with the community whether this is something we want to adjust. And says this is an exciting time to be in the Rocket Pool community. The activation of PDAO governance continues our commitment to decentralized governance. Big thank you to everyone that made this possible. Rocket Pool. So this, of course, is a really great announcement. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to pick up here that are quite interesting. The first one is that the Guardian will continue temporarily. Now, what this means is that there's two things outstanding to make that go away. The first one is that we need to test it and make sure everything looks okay. And that is actually happening going to happen in terms of getting some votes going and, the community kind of playing around with it. And then the second thing is the Security Council is established. Now, that one is a little bit more complicated in that we still haven't decided what the role of the Security Council will be exactly and who will be on the Security Council exactly. However, that one I think might be a few months away from having that in practice, but I'm not sure whether we will be able to do some things before that happens or whether we'll be able to do nothing before that happens. I think it's a latter case where we'll only really be able to do test stuff for the next little while until that is all set up and established. But that should hopefully happen, within the next few months. Now, the vote power thing is quite interesting as well. It's really cool that 66,000 votes have been initialized. Now, the last time I looked at that was like 43 or 44,000. So it's gone up by a nice 50% since then. And that's like 73% of validators, which is actually really awesome to see. The quorum number here is initially set to 30%, which is about 20,000 votes. Now let's actually go and have a look at whether or not that is something that we hit or not. So if you go to the vote page, let's just remove the MetaMask. And here it says, like, for example, the GMC membership selection, the quorum was reached at 130%. And 130% adds up to be around 18,000 votes. So that's not quite hitting the threshold. This protocol development funding renewal, that was 125% quorum. So quorum was set around 14,000. So that's not hitting quorum. Houston hotfix is hitting quorum at 169,000. It hit 24,000 votes. Also with the Houston hotfix, the other one that hit the same, that was the same one. The tokenomics rework prelude, 170% quorum, so that hit it. The balance submission guardrail, this is 23,000 votes as well at 157% quorum. Another one, 157% quorum. After that, 158% quorum. So it seems like 20,000 is a good number, and it seems like we can hit that fairly regularly. I think it's just there are a couple of votes here and there that didn't quite hit those numbers. But I think with a little bit more community promotion, we should be able to get the 20,000 vote power amount hit. Now, maybe it might make sense to lower it just a little bit to 15,000 because we always tend to hit 15,000 quite easily. Well, when I say easily, like, with minimal, requests for voting, but there definitely is a lot of votes that get through with just the 20,000 votes as well. So I think it might lead to a discussion in the community whether we think that we can keep it there. Higher threshold is better in that it means more people want this thing to happen. However, higher threshold also means that there's a chance for votes to fail, and that, of course, is not something we want to do. So let's go back to Langer's, and here he finished his post by saying, sorry, let me just get this loaded. Yeah, he was just saying that this is an exciting time to be in the Rocket Pool community, and that's all good. So yeah, those are the key pieces of information that we just pulled out of this. So hopefully, we'll get the ball rolling on this and make really good progress really quickly. Okay, talk about things making progress quickly. This is a post from Patches about rewards tree 10, and he has some suggestions that he wants to implement, and he wants to take discretion on this before, instead of there being a DAO vote. Now let's see what he says. He says, I'm making this post to let the DAO share their opinions before I unilaterally make some adjustments to version 10 that I believe are in the spirit of the RPIP but disagree with the letter of the RPIP. So he says what follows will be fairly technical explanation of why I want to make these changes. So if you aren't interested in minutiae, feel free to skip to the poll at the end. So Patches, basically he explains things about how the bonus commission works, how balance queries works, and numbers that aren't accurate. And then he has a suggestion for the revision and the paths forward, and then there's a poll as well. So let's actually dig into the post and see what he says. So he says the bonus commission, version 10 adds a concept of bonus commission to the rewards tree. Simply, the bonus commission is calculated based on a validator's RPL stake and ranges from 5% to 9%, bringing overall commission for LEB 8 up to 10%, up to 14%. So he says, of course, in order to accurately pay out this bonus commission, we need to apply it to the validator's consensus income. The version 10 spec does this by taking the balance of the validator at the beginning and end of its eligibility and subtracting them, and then adding in any withdrawals that occur during the interval. This is balance queries. So he says, in implementation, we discovered that balance queries are quite slow, on the order of 10 to 15 seconds per slot. This is because the BN, the beacon node, has to reconstruct the state at the queried slot, which it does by taking the least distant previous state and applying the intermediate beacon blocks to transform it until it represents the queried slot. Not only is this very slow, TreeGen takes hours, but it's fundamentally incompatible with the way rolling records was implemented, which assumes composability of all records. While it's possible to refactor rolling records to support this workflow, it's a lot of extra risk. Then he says, is it even accurate? So he says, so if we overcame the performance and implementation risks, is it even a good idea to use balance checks? He says, I'm increasingly of the opinion that are an inaccurate measure of consensus income. Consider the following timeline. So he says the interval starts, validator A has a balance of 32.5 ETH, no staked RPL, and is opted into the smoothing pool. The interval ends. So consensus income is that 0.5 ETH. Bonus commission pays the validator 10% on 24 out of 32 ETH from the smoothing pool, or 0.0375 ETH. He says before the validator is skimmed, it gets slashed. The validator exit with the balance of 31.5 ETH. When distributed, rETH gets back to its 24 ETH principal. The node operator gets back 7.5 ETH in addition to keeping the 0.0375, which is essentially stolen from rETH holders. Patches says, it's my stance. This is sufficiently unintended for us to revise the spec without a PDAO vote. And then with the revision, he says the solution is conventionally sound. We'll remove blanket checks from TreeGen, and consensus income will be calculated strictly from skimmed ETH. Since skimmed ETH is what ultimately enters the pool, enters the protocol, it's a more accurate representation of the validator's income. This also removes the performance challenges from TreeGen and makes rolling records fully composable without major refactor. So he says there's two paths forward. Number one, the sentiment agrees this is within the realm of discretion that I may exercise as the implementer of version 10, and we have time to implement this before rewards tree 30 trivially, rewards period 30 trivially, and then sentiments disagrees, and we don't de-risk delivery substantially. A PDAO vote follows, and version 10.1, if ratified, resolve this. It says, my view that the fewest people will be upset if we make this adjustment unilaterally. If we miss delivery of interval 30, bonus commission will yet again not be paid to Saturn 0 LEB8s. If we make delivery but DDoS the ODAO nodes, we expose ourselves to a certain amount of risk that they won't complete their other duties while thrashing their beacon nodes with balance queries. If we make this adjustment unilaterally instead, it sets a precedent that such adjustments are within discretion, but I believe that precedent isn't very strong since it's in the spirit of the goals of the RPIP. So he says there's a poll on whether you believe this change should be adopted without a PDAO vote, or ask questions in this thread if you have them. So far 2 people have voted that this is okay within the spirit of the RPIP, and that is Patches and myself, and we have both said that yes, this is okay. The next one is I don't understand this well enough to give an opinion, and the final is this change requires a full PDAO vote. So I think this is okay, and that's my perspective. Go and read the post if you are curious about it. Ask Patches questions in trading or direct message or in the tree generation thread, or just ask your questions in the forum post as well, and someone will kind of help answer your questions, and then you can have an opinion, or you can vote however you wish. Okay, my browser is being incredibly slow, but here we go. Okay, so last night was rewards night, so that gives us a 28-day countdown for the next rewards period, which is when we should have version tree version 10 hopefully. But here we have Apex Theory, who had a post which was kind of happy but sad at the same time, and Apex Theory says that they got their first ever RPL reward. That was because from the point they started their validator, they probably entered at 10% collateral, and then RPL price went down, and it never went back up again above 10% collateral. So they never got RPL rewards in the time that they've been staking, and they had launched last summer, so over a year ago. And they got their first rewards on their RPL collateral, which was 0.69 RPL. So that's about $7 worth of RPL that they got. But I think that might be, actually, depending on gas, it might actually be less than the gas cost to claim that. But the happy thing is that we've got node operators now who are starting to get the RPL rewards that never got RPL rewards before. So if you have any RPL staked on your validator, you will get RPL rewards going forwards, which is fantastic. However, depending on how much RPL you have staked, the value of the RPL might not be that much in real terms. But hey, it's something. And I guess Apex Theory can be happy with their 0.69 RPL. So yeah, that's nice. In news that's not so nice, however, we got some new all-time low prices for RPL against ETH on the ratio. So here Ramana updated the bot last night at around 2 a.m. to show the new low was 0.003045361, and then a little while later we had another update on that as well, and the price was then updated to 0.003031796. So that was just like about 12 hours later, basically, earlier this afternoon, Eastern time, and RPL has hit those lows. So what's interesting about the lows today, however, is not on RPL going down. RPL is actually up today in terms of price. However, what's actually gone up more is ETH and BTC as it approaches its $100,000 target. So as you can see here, RPL is up around 6% on the day. However, BTC is up 5% at 98,100 after hitting 98,437. ETH, however, is performing much more strongly today, which is why we're down on the ratio, and ETH is up to 3,355, which is up 10% on the day. So RPL goes up 6%, ETH goes up 10%. That means the RPL ratio goes down 4%. It going down 4% means we hit a new low in the price. However, thankfully, it looks like ETH is trending positively. On the 4 hour and on the 1 day, we've got engulfing green candles that could potentially point a bottom signal. But I am not in any way, shape, or form going to comment on that about the price there. But yeah, hopefully Hopefully, the sentiment is kind of, I think, shifting towards there being, a bottom in sight for ETH and hopefully then for RPL. But we can't say that for sure at this point in time. I think we need the prices to go a lot higher for that to be the case. I think for ETH against BTC, we need the price to be about 0.04. Currently, we're at 0.034, so it needs to go up about 20%. For the ETH actual price, that would take us above 4,000. I think the resistance levels are around 3,600. And then with RPL on the ratio, supposedly, we really want to get above 0.076, which is over 100% increase of where we are right now. And that's just against ETH, like in the dollar terms, whatever it'll go. But that was some casual technical analysis just for you, Pateris. So I hope you enjoyed that. But just wanted you to know that we hit a new low in the price there. Now, if you go back to the Discord here, we can talk about the rETH price. So I called the LSD bot earlier, price bot, and the output shows that the rETH discount is around 0.25%, 0.248. So that's actually been quite stable for these last couple of days, which is nice to see. We haven't hit those lows that we did a couple of weeks ago, of getting down to 0.8% discount. So hopefully, we can get climbing back up slowly. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if we have a look at the deposit pool, when there's a discount on the market, then our ETH minting goes down pretty much to double digits. On the 19th, we had 16 ETH deposited to the deposit pool. On the 20th, we had 29 ETH, and on the 21st, that's today, so far we've had 51 ETH deposited today. So those numbers don't look that good. However, when we have space in the deposit pool, as you can see on the 16th, 17th, and 18th, on the 16th, if not space in the deposit pool, I mean, when we're back at peg or close to peg, on the 16th, we had 543 ETH deposited. On the 17th, we had 343 ETH deposited. And on the 18th, we had 2,180 ETH deposited. So getting back to a peg is really helpful to help ETH come in through the deposit pool. And hopefully we can see more of that coming very soon. Okay, next we have some sad news from the team, and this is that some team members have COVID. Kane here put in trading last night that any other DevConners come home with COVID, and he says it's the third conference that he's been to that he's gotten COVID. So a couple of days ago, I think yesterday or the day before, Nick, who is the front-end developer with Rocket Pool, he also said that he was sick. Right here, he says, I've got to get back to you. Wait. Yeah, he says a few of us got sick on the way back from DevCon. So it looks like Nick got sick and Kane got sick. So any of the sick team members who are listening to this, we all hope you get well soon and make a quick and speedy recovery, because it's not nice to have COVID, of course. Okay, moving on to some happier news. This is some other news now, and this is news of Gary Gensler stepping down from the SEC on January 20th. So there was a speculation about whether or not he would kind of resign. He put out this post last week kind of talking about his time at the SEC as if he was reminiscing. So people were like kind of the idea that he was going to resign. But there were other people thinking that, he might try to hang on. He could get removed by the chair, but Trump couldn't technically fire him from the commission itself. So he would just become a regular commissioner. It seems like he didn't want to do that. So there's news here that he is resigning. And then Gary put out this tweet thread. He says, on January 20th, 2025, I'll be stepping down as the SEC Gov chair. So he says the SEC is a remarkable agency. The staff and the commission are deeply mission-driven, focused on protecting investors, facilitating capital formation, and ensuring that markets work for investors and issuers alike. The staff comprises true public servants. It's been an honor and a lifetime to serve with them on behalf of everyday Americans and ensure that our capital markets remain the best in the world. I thank POTUS for entrusting me with this That's Joe Biden, entrusting me with this responsibility. The SEC has met our mission and enforced the law without fear or favor. And read the full announcement. So, people were memeing that they're happy for him to be leaving and that he's a clown. And this is happy news, objectively speaking. Like from a crypto perspective, Gary Gensler has been a menace to the crypto community and industry, and now we are going to see the end of him. I'm sure he will land a very cushy job somewhere, and that's good riddance, Gary. Okay, well, talking about the SEC, so Gary's leaving, and it seems like we're getting news from the SEC that we might be getting Solana ETFs. So here, Eleanor Terrett said that this is a scoop, that talks between SEC Gov staff and issuers are looking to launch a Sol ETF, and talks are progressing with SEC are now engaging on S1 applications, according to two people familiar with the matter. These people say there's a good chance we'll see some 19B4 filings from the exchanges on behalf of prospective issuers, the next step in the ETF approval process in the coming days. So it looks like Van Eck, 21 Shares, Canary Funds have all filed S1s for Solana, and Bitwise announced its intent to file an S1 yesterday, and 19B4 forms will be filed by the exchanges such as the Chicago something, I think that's what it is, CBOE is I forgot what that stands for, but they might be listing that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. And Nate, of course, comments saying the SEC now engaging on S1 applications for spot Solana ETFs. So that Solana news is very interesting. It was really funny because, for a year, with the ETH ETFs, every little thing that could potentially be wrong was being criticized about, the futures and having spot activity matching the price on the futures and all of this kind of stuff, and how that would impact whether or not the ETF would be approved. And it took a lot of work to get to that point where all those requirements were met and expectations were exceeded. Now with Solana, there's no futures. There's big doubts about the level of decentralization it has. There's big doubts about the distribution of the tokens and how many tokens are in the hands of insiders, and all of those kind of things would be ringing alarm bells a year ago, but it looks like we are in a new regulatory environment, and take from that what you want. And finally, we're going to end this episode with there's a Rocket Pool thread where it's called Finding a 9 to 5. So this is people who are looking for new work. So I made this post today after a conversation with a friend yesterday, and the friend is looking for a business development experience. Also, if anyone works with TradFi and crypto kind of in a mixed-ish role of some kind, they might be seeking a person like that, especially if you've got experience with stablecoins. So I knew, like I said, I know two people. So I know someone looking for two people potentially. They're not guaranteed positions yet, but I think that there's potential there for that to turn into two jobs. And then Buddha here as well, looking for a product manager at Beacon Chain. So if you're interested in that work, then you can message Buddha and tell him why you would be great for that job. But there are a couple of jobs basically that came up today, and I think that a couple of people have actually been hired from this thread as well. So if you're interested in looking for crypto work, then reach out to me, I guess, or wait until I have some more concrete information, or reach out to Buddha and he'll tell you what's going on with the Beacon Chain product manager stuff. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.